Yo, what is up? Some changes coming. Some changes, good changes, some different changes. I am going to tell you as usual, like, comment, subscribe, share, retweet, hit the notification bell. Some changes. There's no facial hair going on, so that's a change, right, in and of itself. It is hot here the last couple of days, and I've been getting sweaty and itchy, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take it off. It'll probably come back in a couple of months, so don't worry. Don't be afraid at this new face staring back at you. But there are some changes happening, and I need to tell everyone about it. I have been off for a week. I kind of rescheduled things. I had some family stuff going on. My apologies to the folks that I was supposed to have on this past week. I will most definitely be working with you to get you online live in the near future here. So we're going to get that going again. But so what's going on? So why libertarian has been something that has been a little bit of a journey for me over a period of time, basically throughout COVID, through the pandemic. And that journey has really kind of been a discovery journey. It's been, how do I feel about things? How do I see the world? Like, it's been reading, it's been, building new relationships, it's been listening to people that have different perspectives from myself. It's been getting involved in the Libertarian Party and kind of seeing what the political world has to offer in terms of advancing liberty. And I've learned a ton. Like, I've learned a lot. And along that path, there are a couple of things that I've really kind of come to embrace, and things that I want to begin to really expand on in the future. And calling the show Why Libertarian just doesn't even work anymore. I mean, like, one of my posts recently was, one of the big mistakes was calling a political party the same thing as the ideology, right? Like, it would be like conservatives calling themselves the Conservative Party. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Like, people who are libertarian is an ideology. And it's, in some cases, it's relative. Like, some people see libertarianism as one thing, other people see it as another thing. And so to call a political party libertarian is, I think, a mistake strategically, because there's just such a wide swath of people that call themselves libertarian that, everyone knows the tropes. Like, you're not a real libertarian and all this other bullshit, right? So that being said, I feel like I need to make a strategic distinction amongst, kind of my personal direction that I'm headed in, and the content that I'm putting together and what I really want to impart to people. I mean, like, up until now, it's really just been a personal journey, and it will continue to be a personal journey. But that being said, there's certain types of things that I have kind of eliminated from my desire to really kind of go down that road at this moment in time, right? There are other things that I have definitely opened up my curiosity to and really want to further my exploration of those things. And so that being said, the actual channel name in terms of the way it exists right now is going to change. Okay, so Why Libertarian is not going to be something that exists into the future. The channel will stay in terms of the old content will stay on the YouTube channel. That will eventually transition to something new. But I have basically two endeavors that I'm going to be moving toward. All right. The first of which is, or before I even start with that, like I'm going to take ownership of my Twitter. Okay. So before it was just kind of like a Twitter channel for, Why Libertarian as a show. All right. That's going to be me now. And in fact, if I pull up, hopefully I have this readily at hand here. But so I'm actually going to be taking personal ownership of my Twitter channel so that it's me, like it's my messaging, it's who I am going forward, and it's actually going to be. Where the heck did I put it? Maybe I didn't even download it yet. It's basically going to be called Madarchy. So it will be my first name. It will be some synthesis with the word anarchy. And that's really kind of what's going to frame what I'm doing into the future. It's really going to be a focus on true freedom, what I view as true freedom. I'm continuing my involvement in the Libertarian Party because, and here's one other distinction, I am not in favor of people being like, well, I'm a Libertarian, so I have to vote for the Libertarian. No, screw that noise. Like, just because you say that like you view the world a certain way does not mean that you have to vote for the person that's a part of that party. Now, I can tell you that there are a number of people that are a part of the Libertarian Party that are very much worth voting for. But I'm not going to tell you that because you self-identify as something that you have to vote for other people that self-identify as that. One thing that has become painfully obvious to me is that people self-identify self-identify as something and they have no freaking clue what it is. Like they don't know ideologically what it means to be, anarchist or libertarian or conservative even or liberal or like all of these names get thrown around and people just they have no conception of what the core definition is of what it is to be that way. Okay, so I really don't want to ascribe myself to any and in the past, like I've even said, like I kind of trend towards ANCAP, but even that kind of basis of who I am has been transformed over the last couple of weeks. I mean, just talking to someone like Magnus Panvidia really kind of opens your eyes to the fact that you don't need some kind of universal solution. You can be who you are. You can have a viewpoint that is yours, and also at the same time respect other people to have another viewpoint. And if they voluntarily want to engage in a certain type of, association, I mean, that's essentially what the First Amendment is. If they want to voluntarily engage in a certain type of association, who the hell are you to tell them that they can't? Just as long as they don't affect your ability to involve yourself in an association that you decide that you want to be involved in. So that being said, I don't even know if I would call myself an ANCAP anymore. I just want to say, like, I'm an anarchist. Like, I believe in actual freedom. I don't believe in some kind of overarching authoritarian structure top down that is basically going to determine what everyone else who, not even voluntarily, just by birth, has to abide by. Screw that. That is slavery, right? Like that is just at the heart of it, that is slavery. I am not on board with that. And nor do I foresee myself ever being on board with that into the future. And so to that extent, the name of the show is going to change. I'm going to take personal ownership of my Twitter. There will be other Twitters that are generated for these two other endeavors that I'm working on, but my Twitter will remain my Twitter. The two things that I'm working on, one of which is something to help the Liberty community, and one of which is going to be another kind of personal program a la Why Libertarian, all right? So my attempt to help the Liberty community is something called Liberty Mash. It's essentially a once weekly 1 hour video that is going to be a mashup of segments from different Liberty podcasts and broadcasts throughout the space. Okay, there are tons of fantastic people that put out amazing Liberty content every single night, and it's almost impossible for an individual person to keep track of it all. So what I want to do is I want to put shows in the limelight, in the spotlight, so that you can see, 10 or so shows in an actual video that's 1 hour long, and be like, oh, well, that looks like a great show, I want to learn more about it. Or, I really couldn't care about that show very much, I'm not really going to be interested in it. And really give a cross-section as well to show you that it's not all one note. It's not just a bunch of people screaming at a camera saying taxation is theft. It is a very wide and diverse industry and set of viewpoints that are out there, all right? So Liberty Mash will be a brand new channel that I'm going to be starting that will focus on just that wide cross-section of Liberty content that's being produced on a weekly basis. One video a week, an hour. It will be 5-minute segments approximately of each one of these shows. And so you can get exposure to 10, 11, 12 different shows that are in the space every single week just by dedicating an hour, as opposed to having to dedicate 12 hours or 13 hours or 15 hours to watching all of that content, okay? The other thing that I'm going to be working on is it will be the mainstay of my focus. It will be a once weekly 3-hour live cast that then I'll chop up into smaller pieces so that it's easier kind of to consume during the week. But I'm going to include other people into this. It is going to be called Ungovernable. It will be the Ungovernable podcast. The goal being to highlight people and concepts and things that are applicable, like you can apply them to actually displace yourself from centralized authority, from centralized authoritarian systems. It will highlight people that are growing their own food, that are living off the grid, that are 3D printing shit, okay? That are working on crypto businesses and developing decentralized revenue streams so that you don't have to live under the boot of a centralized authority. It will focus on purely anarchist concepts and in practice, okay? And it will involve people that are very much of that mindset where it's not politics, it's not, culture wars, it's not identity bullshit. It is true freedom. Like, it is true at the purest sense of it, freedom, detaching yourself from being dependent on any other kind of system and being able to live life the way that you want to live it. True anarchy. And a depiction of anarchy that is not this BS fictional, Mad Max crap that gets thrown around, right? It is the idea of people that are also creating community voluntarily, as opposed to authoritarian government structures. It will be people that are voluntarily creating community and building around that sense of voluntarism and individualism. And you know what? It's going to be agnostic. This is something that also pollutes our psyche on a day-to-day basis. It's this binary thinking. It's the dichotomy, right? Like, I believe in this, everything else is the opposite, and therefore the opposite is bad, or the opposite is completely wrong. That's not good thinking. It's not, right? The idea that there is some, other opposing way to live, and that's the only alternative, is complete crap. It's complete crap. And on top of that, even if in the happenstance that there is only one other complete opposite way to live, that it is completely bad is also wrong, right? Like, you might not choose it. It might not be good in terms of a value proposition for you, but that doesn't mean that it's wholly bad. And it also doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be, forsaken or made illegal or anything like that. Anarchism is the truest sense of the word freedom. It is the truest conceptualization of liberty, what it is to have liberty. And so this show, Ungovernable, will focus on just that. And it will focus on people that are putting it to practice. They are living it on a day-to-day basis to show everyone that you can. And you don't necessarily have to, like, there will be these types, like, you can go out and homestead and live in the middle of nowhere and have a farm and live on 10 acres and, whatever, and raise chickens and pigs and crap. Like, you can do that. Like, Little House on the Prairie. Like, you can go do that. But you also don't necessarily have to do that. You can live in a city and live decentralized and live free and live an anarchist lifestyle in a city. It's not the same. There's different things that you have to do in the different environments, but you can live a life that is detached from centralized, authoritarian, top-down bullshit that we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. Okay? That show is going to be focused on that. Is going to be focused on the idea of being able to live your own life. The way that this country was originally, wasn't even necessarily perceived of as a country, but the moment the colonies won their independence, conceptually is what this shit show that we have now was supposed to be. Okay? That's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to focus on people that might not label themselves as anarchists, but they live that kind of lifestyle. And again, it will be agnostic as far as the kinds of people and labels that come to the table. If you're an ANCOM, you're an ANSOC, you're an anarcho-mutualist, you consider yourself libertarian, you consider yourself independent, just like an agrarian, an agorist, like whatever you consider yourself. If you are living outside of central authoritarian control, I want to talk to you and I want to teach others how to do the things that you're doing so that you don't have to rely on that centralized just kind of tyranny that most of us live under every single day. There is an awakening that is happening in this country. And most, like, big L libertarians will try and tell you that the awakening is that, oh, well, the two-party system is finding out that we need a third party. I got news for you. If you're a big L libertarian, that's a load of bullshit. It's not true. That's not what people are learning. People are learning that centralized authority sucks. Okay? Regardless of how you color it. Whatever flavor it is. They don't care. Okay? So, yeah, it opens the door for a third party to be truly in favor of freedom. But really, at the end of the day, it has very little to do with politics. It has to do with lifestyle. It has to do with culture. And the culture that's the most important is people that want to live free. So moving forward, I will be embracing that. I'll have one channel, Liberty Mash, that will give you a concentrated dose, a cross-section of what people are talking about in the liberty movement, in the liberty world. And then I will have another channel that once a week on Ungovernable will focus on concepts and practice. How you differentiate yourself, how you remove yourself from centralized authority, how you're able to live truly free. We will talk about concepts, we'll talk about things in practice, we'll interview people that are actually doing it on a day-to-day basis, all right? So you'll see my Twitter will change to be just me. Mattarchy will be my handle on Twitter. I will probably change that as of this evening. Moving forward, any of the Y Libertarian channels that had content stored on them, whether it be Odyssey, whether it be YouTube, whether it be on Hive, those things will change to be ungovernable. Okay, ungovernable pod or ungovernable will be the handle. You will see it change on the actual platform, and I will make announcements when I change those things over. So pay attention to that. And then brand new, you will see me and my personal Twitter account broadcasting out there this Liberty Mash channel that I will be putting together, again, once a week, 1 hour, concentrated dose, be able to get exposure to literally 10, 11, 12 different shows that are out there. And I'm really going to be focusing on the shows that don't necessarily have like a huge distribution. I'm going to be focusing on the shows that have, a smallish distribution that's out there currently to try and get them more exposure, because there are tons of fantastic content creators out there that are creating content. And again, I'm going to be as agnostic as I possibly can to give you a wide swath. But again, if it is a authoritarian, if it is a centralized, if it is a pro-centralized authority kind of show, you're not getting any airtime, all right? But if you are for true freedom, true liberty, decentralization, limiting the government, ending the empire, all of those things, I will totally give you, your due in terms of being able to hold a position within that curated content that I'm putting together. So that's really what I'm working on. It's going to be an effort over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some content, and then there's going to be some gap, and then I will work into a pretty consistent schedule with both of those concepts. One thing I'm working on is trying to get a day together during the week where I can get a 3-hour segment of time where, myself and I have a co-host in mind. He is freaking outstanding. He's part of the Blue Star Union crew. His name is Dave. Dave's outstanding. He's unbelievable, extremely intelligent, way more than me, which is why I'm getting into the mix. And so I want to get him in and have him as part of that production, and then bring others in as well in order to kind of share the knowledge, so to speak. So really exciting going forward. I don't know if I'm going to get an opportunity to plug this. I will be on Thursday night, so I got to figure out what that looks like. But I will be on Thursday night with Josiah to talk natural rights some more. So that will continue as well. The natural rights, talking natural rights talk will continue. And I'm going to have Josiah on Thursday night. I'm going to have to figure out what that looks like, but I will put that out there on whatever channels I have available to me at the time. But if I don't get a chance to plug it, on the 18th, in 4 days, we are going to be live with the Blue Star Union Book Club. We're going to be talking Liberty or Lockdown. Ooh, hold on. Liberty or Lockdown by Jeffrey Tucker. Definitely check that out. Blue Star Union on Twitter. It's at Blue Star Union. If you go on YouTube, just search Blue Star Union. You'll find the channel easy enough. I'll be on the book club. We will be talking about just the ridiculousness of the lockdown and everything that happened with COVID, and how completely asinine and stupid the last 15 months has been. Like, I can't even... People have come out of this with Munchausen syndrome and all kinds of other stuff, institutionalized just fear and all these other things, and Jeffrey Tucker breaks it down extremely succinctly. There is some common institutionalized knowledge that we completely ignored over the last 12 to 15 months. And he breaks it down extremely easily and digestibly, and we're going to be talking about that at the next Blue Star Union Book Club. So the 18th in the evening, we haven't picked an exact start time, but definitely just sub to Blue Star Union, and you will get a notification. Make sure the notification bell is hit for all notifications. You'll know when we go live on the evening of the 18th talking about this. And hell, you got 4 days. Order it, get the ebook or whatever, read it, and then you could, go along with us and comment and question live while we're going through it. But look, I'm really excited. I know that this is kind of like the end of something that I was working on, and this is the rebirth of something, or the birth of something new that really I'm excited about, because the path I've been on over the last 6 to 12 months has led me to this point, and I felt like it would be disingenuous to keep doing it under the same moniker and branding and everything like that. So the branding is going to change, but the dude at the other side of the camera will not, except for maybe the facial hair. But the dude on the other side of the camera will not change, and we will continue to explore and find and research and bring in outside people to give us knowledge that normally we wouldn't be able to get. Okay, so just remember that this is something that is, again, it continues to be an exploration. It continues to be a journey, and so I'm looking forward to having you all on that journey. And for what it's worth, I appreciate everything that you've brought to the table until now. And look, hopefully I've earned the ability to continue on in these new endeavors. And when I change the placard and the heading and everything like that, y'all stick with me. So hopefully I've earned that from you. But and look, I would love some input as well. So in the comment section down below, or DM me or email me if you think that you want to see something in these new kind of channels that I'm going to be working on. Tell me. I would love to conquer whatever topics that you have to conquer in these new platforms, new formats. So I'm looking to hear from you all, and like I said, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.